Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us. In this series, psychotherapist Jennifer H. Carey interviews and helps applicants illuminate a story that is binding them. Applicants can choose to write in a letter or be a participant on the podcast and be interviewed. Both anonymous and both give you the opportunity to voice a limiting story and watch it begin to dissolve. We can all heal, learn, and grow from listening to how the beliefs and stories we create can consciously and subconsciously run our lives, binding us and holding us back. This season, Jen collaborates with singer-songwriter Shannon Ward, who is also co-founder of Fiercely Peaceful and Love Inside Out Now. Shannon is on a mission to help people remember who they are, and she has carried that mission with her as an artist, playwright, healer, and co-facilitator of retreats. She's worked on the WOW stage with Jen and with Mick and Tess Pulver from Breakthrough Performance. At the end of each podcast, Shannon and Jen will prescribe a song for the participant to help them transform beyond the limiting story they are telling themselves. Together, let's listen and shine light so we can break through and step forward into our unlimited potential. The voices and stories of these podcasts are true, but names and other identifying information are removed to protect the privacy and confidentiality of the participants.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us. We are now on, let me make sure I get this right. The last one I got wrong. We are on episode number 6, season number 2. And my goodness, do we have another brave and courageous participant today? And I have no doubt that everyone is going to be able to relate to the story that she shares. And what's really cool about our participant, Savannah, is I asked her if she wanted to be anonymous. I said, would you like it so that no one sees you? We can come up with a pseudonym. And she thought about it and was like, no. I want to share this story. I want to be able to help other people, and I want them to be able to relate, and being able to see and feel the real you will help them relate. So thank you for that, Savannah. And as everyone knows, we have Shannon Ward here, singer-songwriter, on a mission to help everyone remember who they are. And at the end, Shannon and I are going to prescribe a song. I have my song because unless it shifts, it could shift dramatically after this, but because we had our pre-interview.
Right.
But Shannon is in real time, so this will be really neat to see which one she comes up with. Maybe we should say it at the same time, because imagine we came up with the same one. That would be kind of neat.
That'd be super cool.
I know.
We've done that before.
That's true.
It's a little crazy when it happens.
That's true.
Yeah.
So welcome, Savannah. Welcome so much. And thank you so much for being a brave participant on our show today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm just really excited to be here today.
Yay. We're excited to have you. And, just to go into the story that Savannah is going to share, it's related to health anxiety. And some of you may know health anxiety from the word, I think that's more widely used, that used to be used for it, which was hypochondria. And health anxiety is when you either imagine having a physical ailment and therefore then you have some sort of disease, or a physical sensation that you're actually having. You then interpret it to be something bigger. I have a lot of clients with this. I have friends, family, personal people that the second they have something, they can go to that point. I have clients that they have to go to their doctor every time. That is the way they honor this signal. So what's neat about Savannah is she knows exactly when. She's done the work, which is so cool. So she knows exactly when this started. She knows why this started. And as time has gone since it started, I think it was was it 8 years ago, Savannah, that this started for you?
So it was
Yeah. So she knows that, and she's done work. And as she's done work, she's been able to peel back the layers and know more and more
Wow.
what she was avoiding or what was happening. And that's it. I'm not going to say any more because I want her to be able to share more about it. So maybe Savannah, you can just start with that. Like what was happening in your life, or when this started for you and what was happening.
Of course. I'll give a quick backstory. I'm born and raised in Illinois, and that's where I lived for 18 years in my childhood home. My parents built with their own hands. It was a lot of fun. It was beautiful.
Ooh.
And 5 acres, huge. I loved it. And when I turned 18, I was preparing to go to college in the fall, which was going to be in Florida, so very far away. And during that time, my parents decided to sell the house and move to Florida as well. So I left everything I knew, and I was going to be starting this brand new adventure in Florida, completely new. And naturally, that's where the story came up when I started experiencing anxiety for the first time with all that change. And the health anxiety began the day we moved, and it just sort of had its own adventure from there. And the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. So completely uprooted. And what maybe you thought was going to stay there, when your parents decided, no, we're going to go with you. Actually, we're going to move. Then like you were like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to lean on.
Wow.
Of course. And not that my parents couldn't come with me. They deserved to sort of retire in a beautiful state with lots of golf and enjoy the sunshine. But I guess just personally for myself, it was so much change, and I had never experienced all of this change at one time. And so the physical ailments started coming up with anxiety. And it's kind of funny, when I was 18, I didn't even know what the word anxiety meant, because mental health, just with the culture I had growing up, it wasn't talked about, and it still ain't talked about really. And so I didn't even think it was anxiety. I didn't even know what that word was. So I thought that these anxiety symptoms like chest tightening or stomach issues or headaches were physical ailments of poor health. And so that's really what created the health anxiety.
Wow.
I know. Thank you for sharing that again. I think this is more common than we realize. And I think the idea of not naming it, right? So the fact that you didn't even have a name for it just shows even more of like, you can understand why it took the path it did, because if you didn't know where to put it, right, then it just went to like, oh, this is physical health, right? Because there wasn't the emotional, mental name for it, as you're saying.
Definitely. And usually when I did have symptoms from my anxiety, it was a lot of chest tightening. And so naturally, I think anyone thinks maybe that's a heart attack, whatever age you are, because why else would you have a lot of tightening there? And so that initially was the biggest story was, well, whenever you have chest tightening, it's a heart attack. So that was an illuminating story that really clung on to my life for several years. Still does at the time, but I'm working on it.
Yes, you are.
Right.
And can you share with us, Savannah, what it looked like when that story was in the lead? Like, how did it bind you?
I'll be completely honest, because I think it's time to share. And when we had first arrived in Florida, I started slowly not being able to function normally. I wouldn't want to leave my house that I was in, our new house, which was actually an apartment. It was very, very small. And it went so grand as to I didn't want to leave my bedroom. And then it went so grand as I don't want to leave my bed. And so it started these ruminating thoughts like, what's going to happen now? When am I going to die? How am I going to die? And it's sort of obsessive behavior, a lot of timing my pulse to see is my heart beating too fast? Or a lot of times I would feel my heart say, oh, okay, does that sound like a normal heartbeat? That sort of thing. I couldn't for years sleep on my left side where your heart is, because I thought, well, if I sleep on that side, then that could hurt my heart in some way. And so it was very difficult that summer when we moved to really function, if I have to be honest.
Thank you for being honest, because I do think that is an outcome for a lot of people. You get almost paralyzed by the fear, right? And I'm just going to turn on the light because I noticed that the censored light just turned off, but just illuminated my face. And while we illuminate your story, Savannah, it's like to thank you for being so honest, because I know people personally, and I know clients where that can happen, whether it's in a day or in a month or years, where suddenly their world gets really small, and that fear and that anxiety completely runs the story, right?
It does. And I started unhealthy habits, trying really hard to distract myself. And so I would try activities, a lot of arts and crafts, but I sort of told my parents maybe I should see someone about something. And I didn't say what. And so they said, okay, let's go to the doctors and get yourself checked out, which of course everything came back healthy, perfectly healthy. But during that doctor's visit, I was referred to my therapist, who I still see today. And she was very excellent with helping me cope and finding some solutions and integrating this anxiety into creativity, which I love creativity. So it started gradually getting a bit better day by day.
I love it. I love that you asked for help. And even if you didn't know that it was mental or emotional, you went that route. I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased, but but I just love when people ask for help and receive help. It's something so important. And it takes bravery and courage and vulnerability.
It does, because I think the biggest thing specifically with health anxiety is people don't want to ask for help because other people may not understand what they're going through. They'll say, what do you mean you're having a heart attack? You're a very healthy 18-year-old. So we're scared to ask for help because people won't understand. But then there are people like you two and my therapist who do understand, and they are professionals. So someone can always help no matter what.
So true. So true. And I'm guessing that it was that journey that started to give you the insight and the language that this was beyond physical health.
Yes, it's been a long journey. I took quite a few years now with therapy, off and on, because I was a college student, but it really opened my eyes to this is what anxiety is called, and this is scientifically why you may be feeling this way. And I thought, wow, no one taught me this when I was in high school or middle school. So it was really profound and insightful. And hey, I'm still interested in mental health and the science behind it. I was really glad I found that avenue to discover what it could be.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I know the definition or, of panic disorder is that, which is a little bit different than health anxiety, but related in the sense that people are afraid that what's happening from the mental, emotional anxiety is a physical heart attack. And so then it's the fear, you get into the fear of that. And then, that's what puts you in a panic. You're just, the second you get a twinge of that sensation, like you said, your heart starts to beat or something, you go to that. And that's what's underneath it. You think the worst case scenario rather than like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit nervous about this. Something's, giving me anxiety. It goes to something else. And so then you're in a constant on edge that you're going to have a panic attack or you're going to have those sensations.
You hit the nail on the head right there. It's true. We're not scared of life. I think we're just scared of our emotions and how we respond to life. but we have to learn how to respond and not react with physical ailment. That's something I have to keep practicing.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. I can't tell you how many people land on my couch because it's just the feeling of the uncomfortableness of an emotion or the discomfort of anxiety or depression, right? Or whatever it is. They're like, make me stop feeling this. And it's like, actually, I have to help you feel it. Because, right, it's in that avoidance that these things happen.
Yes, it is the avoidance, which going back to the root cause of it, I was avoiding the grief of moving and coping with this huge life change. And I feel like I started dealing with health anxiety over here when really all along I should really start getting to the roots more. And that's something that my last, I would say, year and a half of therapy has really gotten to. We finally have really got to the root, and I was able to grieve properly, which is something I want to express to them. I did it, and I feel a lot better. And my life has gotten a more, I wouldn't say better because life is great no matter what, but I see a lot more light at the end of the tunnel. That's for sure.
I love it. You know, grief is hard, and a move is in the top 5 life stressors. And I didn't share this with you in the pre-interview, but my parents moved when I was 18. They moved to Florida, and I stayed in New York. And similar to what you're saying, it was years later that I realized that, like, I craved, like, I have a picture of a huge tree in my office because I crave that rooted feeling in a home. And when I finally did the work, I realized it stemmed back to that. It was my childhood home as well, where I grew up, and they were like, "Oh, you're in college. Bye." And just kind of left. So you don't realize how significant, that is. And Savannah, I think in addition to just grief being hard to face, I don't think we always make the association that, like, a loss of a home, loss of relationships, is the same as like losing someone from this planet. We just don't, but it's got similar vibes. And the only way to work through grief is through it. I don't know how many times I have to tell people that, right? It's like you have to work through it. Otherwise, it comes out sideways your whole life until you process it and work through it. So another reason I commend you, Savannah, for like working through it.
And you saying that really inspired me to share that meditation has helped my life tremendously. I couldn't think of sitting down with my thoughts and feelings when you meditate. Because a lot of people think meditation is you're blocking out any thought and feeling that comes your way, and you're sitting in peaceful silence. You're a monk on a mountain somewhere. That's not necessarily true, but no, you're taking in any thought or feeling or sensation, emotion that comes in, and you're observing it without judgment. And I began that journey a few years ago, and it has helped me tremendously. I do it every day still, and I will continue to do it because if you face it, like you said, Jen, that's the only way to get through it is if you face it.
That's it. That is it. Otherwise, it's always there to pop up. And thank you. And to all the listeners, I did not pay Savannah to say that. That was completely organic. I can't tell you how many times I tell my clients, I'm like, meditation, mindfulness, meditation, mindfulness. And they say the similar thing. And I say to them, I'm convinced those monks on a mountaintop are feeling anger or they're feeling scared sometimes. I'm convinced, even though they're all Zen, they have emotions too, so it's not that. And I've been practicing meditation for like over a decade, and I still will have the monkey brain, and I'm like, oh, all right, making my to-do list. Okay, fair enough. Back to the breath,
breath. And something I always remind myself, there is no good or bad meditation. There's just meditation. Because once we say these are good or bad, then you begin judging the thoughts.
Exactly.
With bias. No, it's just observe it without judging.
That's just it. That's it.
It sounds
And take a breath.
and it sounds simple, but until you sit down on your cushion or wherever, it can be challenging.
Yes, exactly. I always tell people you have to like watch the judge, notice it, and then let it pass by. And then you have to be careful not to judge the judging, right? Because then you're like, oh my God, I'm judging it, And so then now we're judging the judging, and it's like, no, just keep letting the
Take a
judge
breath.
go.
Just take another breath. Yeah.
While the time you must not take yourself too seriously. That's what the Buddha said. And that's why a lot of Buddha statues have like a half smile, because he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Love it.
You have to remember that too.
That's awesome.
Love it. Love it. Love all of this. And I know, Savannah, in our pre-interview, another thing that you mentioned was the sense of control. That was something else you uncovered, right? So it was also facing this grief and processing the grief, which is so amazing. And you feel lighter now. Symptoms are less. You're embracing life much more, it sounds. But the other thing you mentioned was kind of the root also being that sense of not being in control.
Yeah, I would love to elaborate more on that. I think in life, we feel like we can control things. And back then in Illinois, I lived in the same house and I was in the same town. And I thought, I'm in control of my life, which is going to make it a happy life, right? But life doesn't work like that. It's always constantly changing. Each day, the grass is getting a little bit higher. It's always changing. And so when I felt out of control like that, that's when I thought, hey, I guess I'm helpless now. I don't know what's next. And 18 is a very hard age because you're not quite adult, but you're not a child. So 18 was one of those, well, do I seek guidance? Does someone tell me what to do next? Or do I figure it out on my own? But now that I'm getting older, I'm 26 now, I still to this day have to realize I'm not in control at all. And that's okay. And I have to trust God and the universe and live like that with trust. That's
yes. Yeah. It's huge. Trust and anxiety, right? It's often that trust and needing to let go of that sense of control because there's so much that we don't have in our control. And it's interesting. What I really appreciate about you being brave and sharing that part of it, Savannah, is the control then starts to be knowing the health ailment, right? That's where you start channeling. It's just like eating disorders. I don't know if people know eating disorders are very often formed from not feeling a sense of control, but you're like, I can control this food. I control how much I take this food. I can control what I do with this food. If I purge it, if I don't, it's like a sense of control around food because food is this thing that we can. So it sounds like that was similar. Like the health anxiety became an attempt to control.
Yeah. It was. And I'll be honest with you, there was a point where the health anxiety started getting more manageable. And then once the pandemic came around, I lost all control of what I thought I knew, like jobs and relationships, friendships. And I was shipped off to live with my parents. I chose it. I lived with my parents in Villages, which is the largest retirement community in the world. And I thought, okay, I'm living in a retirement community. I have no more control. And something else that I would like to share is that it got to a point where I felt so out of control. And this is personal, but I want to share. I did have a mental breakdown. And it was at that point where I was very low and I thought, I got to try something else. Really, my trying was not trying. I had to let things be. I had to let things be what they were. No more trying, more just being. And I didn't seek professional help. I do want to put that out there. And that helped me get back on my feet. But 11 months later, I felt like I could function enough and start controlling more things in a healthy way, like applying now to jobs again and seeking out friendships. But it took some time.
Thank you for sharing.
That's an honest journey. However painful, that's an honest journey. That's powerful.
Absolutely. And I loved how in the interview you called it a breakthrough.
Yeah. My therapist said, don't consider it a mental breakdown. Consider it a mental breakthrough. And it is true, because in that time in my life, it was challenging, but I was blessed with great outcomes after that. That's where I found meditation. And that's where I found a really healthy diet and exercise regimen. I know you had mentioned like eating disorders and how like if they can control this, well, I can control my diet in a good way that was going to help my health. And that was good for my heart, not extreme. So
yes, yeah. Nutrition and exercise can be a great place where we can, in a healthy way, exercise. Yeah, not to an extreme, which, you know, for sometimes when people have an eating disorder part, that's what happens, right? But yeah, again, that's a breakthrough, right? Because if you think about it, the grief work that you've done, breakthrough, right? The way that now this health anxiety part is still a part of you, but it's not leading your life. And that is the whole point, is that these stories don't lead our lives. That is like the whole mission of this, because I believe that, you know, we have things to do during our time on this earth. And if we have those stories leading, we're not going to do them. We're going to be staying in our room and just letting the story lead. So I can already tell just by what you've described in the pre-interview and this, that things are shifting. And I have to ask you, what is, because I know you've already started to shift the story, but what is and what will life be like without this story in the lead?
I will feel very free. That is what life will be like. Free and liberating and playful. That just came to my mind because we should all have a playful mind. And I'll be curious and not overwhelmed with, oh, well, what if this happens or that? I'll just feel liberated. So completely lifted. And I'm really working on it. I'm almost there. But yeah,
love it. I love that. That's often the answer that people give. And I know you in the pre-interview, you said free and super accepting of all things that life is giving me.
Yes. Except things, because life is always changing. And instead of fearing that change, I'll just, give a big bear hug to it and say, okay,
love it.
Changing. Let's do it. What do you have to say for me, universe?
Love it. Love that outlook.
Nice.
See it as a positive thing and an exciting thing. Yep. And we have that choice to shift how we see it. That we are in control of. That we are in control of. Yeah.
Agree.
Love this.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the moment.
Oh, I've been in real time and I've been playing. But you have your song,
I do.
correct?
I do. Do we want to try and say it at the same time? Do you want time after? Do you just want to hear mine first?
Boy, I kind of want to hear yours first today, because I've been totally listening, but I was like, I had an idea and then I was like, oh shoot, what are those lyrics and did they fit? So, but then when I just heard what you said and what you want to experience, I just went pop, pop, pop to something different.
I love it.
I know. Well, because I relate so much to so many things that you've said in terms of anxiety, and I'm really exploring my own. The heart thing, sleeping on I feel so grateful because it's true. And especially given the difference in our age, like, I'm like, oh God, is it a heart attack? But I feel healthy. So like expanding in mindfulness, so many of the things that you are practicing and bringing to the forefront, I think are extremely powerful. And they really show that it's ageless. It really is about our inner journey and our stories and how we want to be with that. That has nothing to do with an age. And so your level of willingness to be in the process is is going to help so many people that you may not ever meet, but it's really going to touch them. I hope, like it has certainly touched me. So thank you for that. Thank you for your honesty and your courage. It's inspiring.
Beautifully said, Shannon. Thank you for that.
And Jen, I kind of want you to do yours first, because
and I
have like 5 different ones.
Okay. Yeah. You'll know. I have to say, I think, of course, I'm sticking with the one that I chose from. I was blessed to have 2 pre-interviews with Savannah. So I feel like I got to know her a little bit more. And I think that this song is kind of a culmination of all that, but I think it's still a culmination of what we did today. And the song is, I know you're going to know it, I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack.
Oh.
Do you know that one, Savannah?
I do. Is that from the 80s?
I think it might be the 90s, but I'll read the lyrics, all right? I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger, right? This is your embracing change. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.
I love
that. That's good.
I'm going to go on to the next stanza because I just have to. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some hell-bent heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.
I love it. Makes me dance.
Yay. Okay, so that one's mine. So now you get another one.
Oh, yes. Oh gosh, you know what? Okay, so mine was kind of based in the chorus when you talked about freedom, because originally I was thinking about Stronger by Kelly Clarkson and Right to Be Wrong, because it really gives us permission to explore all of it. But I love the song Freedom by George Michael.
Yeah, I love it.
It's song. Like free,
another dance one.
I love it.
Freedom.
Exactly.
I won't let you down. Freedom. No,
exactly. And but with Freedom, I would almost encourage you to rewrite some of the lyrics, like take the ones that work for you. Because, it is about living your life and being in the dance of it. But I really like, I Hope You Dance. I think that's great. Do you know Freedom by George Michael?
I don't, but I'm excited to listen to it.
Oh, it's good. And Shannon's a bit of a sorceress with the changing the lyrics to be your own. It's a pretty magical experience. I know at first I'm always like, no, it's what they wrote. But then when you do it, you realize how special it is to make, and you can make it a part of your journey. And it's true, Shannon, good choice, because that freedom is really what you feel. It's like what you say and what I can see in your face and what I can feel in your energy when you know that the story is no longer leading.
Yeah, absolutely. I can read some lyrics. I think there's something you should know. I think it's time I told you so. There's something deep inside of me. There's someone else I've got to be.
That's it.
Take back your picture in a frame. Take back your singing in the rain. I just hope you understand. Sometimes the clothes do not make the man. So it's almost like everything that you've done inside, you're twisting the story and you're turning it and you're creating your own narrative with it. And that's so anyway.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. And I like the idea of it's time to go out now. Yeah. And I don't know what happens to you when I say that. What happens to you in your parts when I say it's time to go out, Savannah? It's time to be you.
I'm hearing in my head, finally.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do it, I guess.
Yay.
Let us do it. I'm like, okay,
I
let's do
love it. And you did it here.
Nice.
You
Yeah.
did it here. And I know this is going to help countless people. I know it, Savannah.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you. Thank you. Sharing your story is going to free not only you, but a lot of people.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Shannon, for all that you brought. And I can't wait to witness your freedom, Savannah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And dancing.
Yes. Yeah. Dance. Yeah. There was something about dancing in the rain in the lyrics there too.
Well, they were in both songs because you really do move. You do dance with this, and that's apparent in how you shared it. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you all the listeners. And may we share this story to all of our loved ones and people we know that have a health anxiety story binding them in their lives.
Yep.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes. Thank you.
If you'd like to be a participant on Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us, please fill out the form on jenniferhcarey.com. Jennifer would like to thank every single person that makes this possible, including all of the listeners. Because of you listening and sharing these stories, we may illuminate them and unbind the participants stuck in them. And to the participants, your courage and bravery makes this possible. Thank you. A million thank yous to Cassie Brooks Bowling and her team in making this mission come alive and keep it breathing. You can follow Jen at Jennifer H. Carey on Instagram and on Facebook at Jennifer H. Carey Counseling.